Okay, so today we're diving into a world where charisma and controversy, they collide.
Yeah,
And it's a world where that line between like a true visionary and a con artist
right.
can get really, really blurry.
It really can.
You've given me a ton of sources on this guy, Nicholas Cosmo, and his company, Agape World.
Yes.
And I got to say, this story's bonkers.
It is fascinating. I think one of the things that gets me about these cases is
Yeah.
how people can be swayed by personality, right?
Oh,
When
totally.
someone's promising them riches and kind of a
Away.
up.
Oh, absolutely. So our mission today is to try to figure out, like, was this guy for real?
Right.
Was he like a business mastermind, or was he something a little bit darker?
Yeah. Was it good intentions gone wrong, or was he just a straight up con man from the get-go?
Yeah, yeah. And to answer that question,
Mhm.
we need to understand like the world that he was operating in.
Absolutely.
So Agape World, it was marketing itself as an investment firm
Right.
in Hoppage, New York. And they were promising these insane returns on short-term bridge loans
Mm-hmm.
to businesses. We're talking like 80% returns.
Yeah, that's a huge red flag right there.
I mean, come on, 80%. What legitimate business can promise those kinds of returns?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? And it's the kind of question that's going to draw in people who maybe don't know a lot about finance.
Right.
So these bridge loans are usually short-term, high-interest loans
Yeah.
that are used to bridge a financial gap,
Okay.
often by real estate developers.
Makes sense.
But to give an 80% return to investors,
Right.
Agape would have had to be charging borrowers just outrageous interest rates,
Unheard of.
well beyond what is typical, even for like super risky ventures.
So are you saying that like these bridge loans were probably like a cover for something else?
That's what we need to figure out.
Okay.
What's interesting is that Cosmo was attracting a lot of like everyday people,
Okay.
like blue collar workers. These
Yeah.
weren't like sophisticated investors. They were just people looking for a way to get ahead.
Yeah, trying to achieve the dream.
Achieve the dream, right?
Yeah, Cosmo himself, he seemed relatable,
Yeah.
like just a regular guy,
Exactly.
not some Wall Street hotshot.
And that is very, very disarming.
Oh, absolutely.
It makes people feel like they're part of something.
Yeah, like they're in on the secret.
Exactly.
But here's where things get really, really interesting.
Okay.
This wasn't Cosmo's first time at the rodeo.
Oh.
So that background check that we got,
Yeah.
turns out he already had a conviction for securities fraud
Oh, wow.
from back in 1999.
Okay.
He had served time in federal prison and been banned by the NASD,
Which is?
which is the National Association of Securities Dealers. They regulate the securities industry
Huge red flag.
for stealing over $150,000 from clients.
That should have been something that anyone who was thinking about investing
Yeah.
found with like a 5-minute Google search.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How do you regain trust after something like that?
Right.
It's mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, get this. Agape World claimed to be a private lender since 1999
Okay.
while he was behind bars.
What?
How did nobody catch that?
I mean, that's just straight up deception.
Yeah.
Manipulation, disregard for the law.
Yeah, and to make things even more confusing,
Right.
they even got a spot on Entrepreneur Magazine's
Oh, wow.
Hot 100 list of fast-growing businesses.
Entrepreneur Magazine?
Entrepreneur Magazine, that must have given them so much credibility.
I mean, it makes you think that even the most reputable places can
Well.
be fooled.
Appearances can be deceiving for sure.
Absolutely. It really highlights the importance of doing your own research.
Yeah.
And not just taking things at face value.
Don't believe the hype. Okay, so we've got this convicted con man
Right.
running this supposed investment firm
Yep.
with these wild promises, and somehow he's pulling it off.
Right.
So what happened next?
Well, like a lot of schemes that are built on lies, it was only a matter of time before it all came crashing down.
Yeah.
And for Agape World, that started in 2008,
Oh, okay.
right around the time that the Bernie Madoff scandal broke.
Oh, wow. So this was all happening
At the same time?
at the same time as the biggest financial scandal in history.
Exactly.
No wonder investors were starting to sweat.
Right. The 2008 financial crisis created this whole climate of fear and uncertainty.
Yeah.
Investors everywhere were spooked,
Yeah.
and they started demanding their money back.
And I'm guessing Cosmo couldn't deliver.
He could not, because the Agape World wasn't
Oh.
really investing in anything.
Oh, my God.
It was all just an illusion,
No.
designed to funnel money into his pockets.
It's crazy how these things go on for so long
It is.
and no one notices.
Yeah.
So we've got this like ticking time bomb, right?
yeah.
A financial crisis is brewing. Investors are getting antsy,
Right.
and Cosmo is at the helm of this thing that's about to blow up.
Yeah.
So, like, what were the mechanics of his operation?
Yeah, how was he moving this money around? So
Yeah.
Cosmo's scheme, it was a classic Ponzi scheme. Okay.
Using money from new investors to pay off the old ones,
Right.
making it look like there were these big returns.
So robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Exactly. And to keep the money flowing,
Yeah.
Cosmo needed to keep bringing in new investors.
Right.
And he was really good at targeting a specific blue-collar workers, a lot of times from Long Island,
Okay.
who were looking for a way to, like, improve their finances.
Yeah.
Why that group, though?
So I think there's a few reasons.
Okay.
First of all, blue-collar workers, they might not have a ton of experience
Right.
with, like, complicated financial products.
Yeah.
So they might be more likely to fall for, like, a high-pressure sales pitch.
Yeah.
Or the promise of getting rich quick.
Okay.
Second, they might be more trusting of someone who seems like one of them.
Right.
Like a regular guy who understands their problems.
Right. Cosmo was great at playing that role.
Exactly. He wanted to seem like
your buddy.
your friend, like
Yeah.
he had your best interest at heart.
But how did he actually get them to give him their money?
So Cosmo and his buddies, they would paint this picture
Yeah.
of Agape World as like the super successful private lending firm,
Right.
making huge profits off these bridge loans to businesses.
But you said those bridge loans were fake, right?
Largely, yeah. There wasn't like a real business behind them.
Oh, my God.
It was all just smoke and mirrors.
To make it look like there were real investments.
Exactly.
So where was the money actually going?
Cosmo was using it to fund his lifestyle.
Okay.
Expensive cars, gambling trips,
Of course.
all that.
Yeah.
He also used it to cover losses from bot investments.
Okay.
And, of course, to pay off those early investors.
To keep the scheme running.
To keep the scheme running.
It's crazy how it goes on for so long.
Yeah, I know, but there were red flags.
What were they?
Like his prior conviction for securities fraud.
That's a big one.
And the fact that Agape World claimed to be operating while he was in prison.
Right. And that Entrepreneur Magazine award?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Appearances can be super deceiving.
Yeah.
Just because a company has a fancy office or a nice website
Yeah.
doesn't mean they're legit.
So even with all those red flags, Cosmo kept this thing going for years.
Yeah.
What finally brought him down?
Well, as the 2008 financial crisis got worse,
Right.
investors everywhere were getting nervous, especially with the Madoff scandal happening at the same time.
Oh.
People wanted their money back from Agape,
Yeah.
but Cosmo didn't have it.
Oh, man.
So everything started to crumble.
Yeah, like a domino effect.
Exactly.
Once a few people start to freak out,
Right.
everyone wants out.
And that's when the authorities got involved.
Yeah.
The FBI and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service,
Oh, wow.
they started investigating, and in January 2009,
Yeah.
Cosmo was arrested.
Wow. What a wild turn of events. So what happened to Cosmo and, more importantly, his victims? Okay,
Yeah.
so the jig is up. Cosmo's arrested, and all these investors are left holding the bag.
Yeah, thousands of people lost everything.
Oh, man, it must have been pure chaos.
It was devastating.
Yeah.
Imagine putting your life savings, your hopes for the future into something
Right.
you think is going to set you up, and then poof, it's all gone.
It's heartbreaking.
People lost their homes, retirements, everything.
And the emotional toll, oh, my gosh.
Huge.
Yeah, so did Cosmo ever face any consequences for what he did?
Oh, yeah. In 2011, he was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison.
Wow.
The same sentence as Bernie Madoff.
The 25 years, that's a long time.
It is, and the judge also ordered him to pay back over $179 million in restitution.
Wow. I bet that didn't even scratch the surface.
No, I mean, how can you put a price on that kind of betrayal?
It's just a reminder that we need to be so careful with our money.
Absolutely. You can never be too careful.
Especially when someone is promising you the moon.
Exactly. So what can we learn from this?
Yeah. What can we do to protect ourselves?
First and foremost, due diligence is key.
Due diligence? What's that?
It means doing your research
Okay.
before you invest in anything, especially if it sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Exactly. Don't just take someone's word for it, no matter how charming they are.
So don't be swayed by those fancy brochures.
Right. Look into their background, their track record, check for any red flags.
And those red flags we talked about earlier.
Right. Like Cosmo's prior conviction, that should have been a huge warning sign.
Yeah.
And the fact that his company was supposedly operating while he was in prison.
Right. And that Entrepreneur Magazine award, can't believe they fell for that.
Appearances can be so deceiving.
So bottom line, what are some key takeaways to protect ourselves from scams?
Okay, number one, be wary of promises of ridiculously high returns.
Makes sense.
If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah, don't let greed cloud your judgment.
Exactly.
What else?
Do your research, check their background.
Oh, okay.
Consult with a financial advisor.
Oh, yeah. A second opinion can't hurt.
Never hurts.
It's just sad that these things keep happening.
It is, but the more we talk about it, the more aware people become.
Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
So stay informed, stay vigilant.
Trust your gut.
If something feels off, it probably is.
Well said.
Well, this has been a fascinating and cautionary tale.
It has.
Thanks for diving into this with me today.
My pleasure.